What's cracking, guys? How's everyone doing today? Take a little bit per. Yeah, he was a killer. So this is Thursday, 11 a.m. What am I talking about? This is Friday, 11 a.m. my time, Sydney, Australia. In the background, I'm watching anyone else watching the NBA playoffs. We got the Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. But this isn't about basketball. It's about boxing. We're going to go over today's goings on in the sport that we love. And I want to start with our where we left off last night. So in our live stream yesterday, we were talking about how Jaron Ennis, his fight got, Cody Crowley got taken out of that fight, so he's looking for a late replacement. Then we had Eddie Hearn, who's been on Twitter, he's been on social media talking about how they do have a replacement, they just haven't announced it yet. So I don't want to start. We're not starting speculation. I'm just going to tell you what I know, and it looks like that they're getting close to announcing that it's probably going to be David Avanesyan stepping in for Crowley. And the reason for this is the fact that Boots Ennis has been calling out, not calling out. He's mentioned Avanesyan's name a couple times in the past, and the boxing pundits are saying that it give the fans a good opportunity to compare and contrast a common opponent with Bud Crawford. So alternatively, David Avanesyan is a name being mentioned as he has previously worked with Hearn and would allow for a comparison between Ennis and Crawford, who knocked out Avanesyan in October of 2022. So this isn't official yet, but don't be shocked if they announce soon the fact that Jaron Ennis in Philadelphia is taking on Avanesyan. We'll see if this goes factual. It probably could be announced by the end of the business day here, at least. Now, also in news, I want to talk about the weigh-ins. We got the Adrian Broner and Blair, the Flair fight tomorrow. I'm going to play you guys a video what they look like at the weigh-ins today. There's two different ones. So they both made weight, 147. Here's one angle. So AB was wild yet. So yeah, Blair's being really outspoken here. And look how quiet AB's being. Now, you can read in and look into that if you want. Yesterday at the weigh-ins, AB was going crazy. If you remember, we played it yesterday. AB was talking about he's bringing shooters. AB said he's going to shoot him. He was getting crazy. And call it nervous energy, call it what you will. Sometimes at these things, you could psychoanalyze their nonverbal communication, their mannerisms, and then you could try to dissect who has the advantage here. Obviously, high-level experience, that advantage is going to go to AB. This is Blair Cobb's biggest fight of his career. Here's a different angle. Well, I can't play the volume. This is how they both looked up closer. So obviously he's in shape. He's 5'11". AB's in shape. I mean, we have to remember the height difference should be substantial. Blair's 5'11", AB's 5'6". But once again, if you're looking for physical advantages, Blair was acting like, in my opinion, he was acting a little bit nervous on the stage. It is the biggest moment of his career. I don't know who you guys are going for. The odds have it pretty even. I'm going to bring those up real quick. I don't know who you guys, if you guys are gamblers, but sometimes the odds tell us, well, some things that we don't know going into the fight, where the money's at. All right, we got so Broner's the underdog. I thought it'd be even. We looked at this yesterday. It was about a pick'em fight. Now it's Adrian's at 235 and Cobbs is a 167, meaning that damn, that white on white screen's terrible. But right here, if you put 100 on AB, you get 235 back. If you put 100 on Blair, you only get 67 back. So that's just showing all the money from yesterday and both press conferences. People have been putting more money on Blair to beat AB. I don't know. It's tough. It's going to be tough for me to bet against Broner. I am going to be tuning in. Let me know who you guys like in that fight. It's all sorted away. They're fighting at 147, and that's the weight that they agreed upon. And both guys were professionals, and they made that weight. I want to talk about now some comments that Tank Tank Davis said. If you guys, he was holding on for dear life like a little bitch. I don't know what you guys make of sparring wars and drama going back and forth about what happened in sparring, but this was a post today on our group. If you guys aren't following Boxing News Today, we're live on Instagram and it's a Facebook group. And I put this message up, and it was interesting to see the comments in our Facebook group about what people thought. Tank Davis said that he has the mental upper hand going into the fight based on what happened in their sparring. And I've listened to countless interviews Frank Martin has given. I've listened to what the people around Frank Martin, his coaches, his family, his sparring partners talk about Frank. People talk highly of Frank Martin. It's no shock that a lot of people are not only, I think, emotionally pulling for him in this fight, but they feel that he has the goods to beat Tank Davis. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to put my money on Frank to beat Tank, but from a psychological advantage, what I've been learning about Frank is that I don't think Tank is in his head. I don't think that Gervonta, based off of what happened a few years back in sparring, even if it went Tank's way, I don't think Frank Martin's the type of character that would, hurt him mentally going into the fight. I think he's a very strong-willed individual. He's been through a lot, and he's a very family-oriented guy. I think it's going to be closer than people think. It's going to be too early. We got it June 15th. Next week I'll do a prediction video. You guys might be surprised. I just don't know if Tank's spot on, if he thinks he's going to go into that fight and hold a psychological advantage over Frank Martin. I think Frank Martin's a lot mentally stronger than a lot of people give him credit for. I'm going to play you another video. Here's what he looks like right now. I had to lower the volume. Here's him right there. I mean, look at the kid. Shredded up, bodied up, consummate professional, and he's still a week out from the fight. He's ready to do it. I just hope it's a good fight. I want to see Frank. I want to see Gervonta in a barn burner. I want to see Gervonta tested, and I want to see what Frank Martin's metal is made of. METTLE, not METAL. So moving forward, you guys know Edwin De Los Santos, the guy who fought Shakur Stevenson. He fought Shakur at 35, but De Los Santos has fought at 130. This is De Los Santos today in the gym. Now, say what you will, but I think he looks like a middleweight here. Look from his ankles, also from his ankles to his quads, so above the knee. He doesn't have thin legs. He's a thick boy. His waist is thick. I'm shocked that that's the guy who fought Shakur. So weight classes definitely matter for a reason, and it's a skill in itself with these fighters being able to put on weight, cut weight, rehydrate, rehydration clauses. But I'm interested to see what De Los Santos looks like next. In breaking news right now, as we're going live, I'm not speculating, but I have to report on this. Did you guys hear about Deontay Wilder? I'll read it to you. Deontay Wilder, this is on TMZ.com. I also put it on our group, Boxing News Today. This is Deontay Wilder's fiance gets a restraining order claiming domestic abuse. And before you guys comment, I know I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just letting you know what's going on. I put it in the Facebook group, and a lot of people were saying that, you have to wait before you accuse him as the public outcry. Of course. I'm just letting you know what he's going through in his life right now. He's had some, obviously he got knocked out, and then this. Deontay Wilder's fiance, Telly Swift, has reportedly now been granted a temporary restraining order against him, as she has claimed he abused her on multiple occasions over the past 6 years. So that's not a good sign, because for her to come out public and make these claims and then in the report put 6 years, she obviously has evidence and proof of something. It sounds to me that she's either collected audio or photos and images of past abuse. So this is a developing story. Don't be shocked if you guys see in the next upcoming days or weeks or hear audio release or photos, because this next bit, Swift alleges that Wilder choked her at least 5 times, spit on her several times, and shoved her face in a pillow so hard that she thought she was going to suffocate. And, you don't have to be an intelligent person to play that out in your head what that looks like. Relationships are hard, relationships are volatile, but when you hear stories of a guy who's really been in the public's eye since since he was an Olympian, and he really won the hearts of a lot of the U.S. The story about his daughter having special needs, having spina bifida, and it's one of the reasons I always cheered for him, as this sort of like admirable character. And then you hear stories like this, and I'm gonna do my due diligence. I'm gonna wait to see how it plays out. I'm not accusing anyone. This is just the news clip on TMZ.com today. It's not good for anybody. It's not a good day for either side. Nobody should be happy about that. And then I want to talk about Madrimov. We did a video. I put it up a couple hours ago. I want you guys to watch it. 5 things to know about Israel Madrimov. And I'm just doing my part, reporting on the sport that I love. I'm not just going to report on Terrence Crawford. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's obviously he's a once in a generational talent. But what sort of guy would I be if I didn't talk about Madrimov? That's not so. If you want a channel that is going to bash one side, that's not this channel. I'm going to talk as respectful about Israel Madrimov as I do about Bud Crawford, and I do that with all the fighters. So I did a video today about who he is, who he's been fighting, his 10-0 record. He does have a draw. He fought a Frenchman, a champion with the last name Soto, who's actually an interesting story. They fought the first time in which Madrimov knocked him out in the 9th, but it was controversial. I guess the round ended, the bell goes off, Madrimov knocks him out, and he couldn't continue, and the fight was stopped. And it was such a barn burner that it was immediately rescheduled. In the very next fight, the first 2 rounds started off like the last fight, crazy rounds, and then a headbutt, and the fight had to be called. So that is Madrimov's technical draw, and I don't think they'll do a trilogy. He is a WBA. He's the WBA world champion. He's from Uzbekistan. The guy going into this Crawford fight, I'm going to play you a video of what he looks like when he's fighting. He has a background in mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and judo. He not only trains that, he's belted in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and judo. So if you guys have ever trained before in terms of grappling, wrestling, the benefits of judokus, the athletes who do judo, are their balance in their hips. These guys are able to throw you from many different angles, and it's all about the rotational pull. And it makes sense when you see Madrimov box. His balance is one of his biggest strengths. In the middle of exchanges, he switches stances. He starts off orthodox, but he switches to southpaw, similar to Crawford, and he can knock you out from both sides. He has knockouts with his left hand and his right hand. And I want to play you a little video of what he looks like. I just don't think a lot of the American fans understand the talent Madrimov has. What's up, Aritzal? In shape Tank will beat anyone at 35 and 40 except Teo. Frank Martin's on the way to fill the winning stats of Tank. Just another statistic. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad he's fighting, mate. It's a good point. What's up, Karma? It's a good point you make, Shadow, but at this stage in the game, I'm just glad that he's fighting. I want to see, obviously, we all want to see Tank Davis more active, and we want to see him fight the best in the world. Hopefully he gets some of that Saudi money, and we see him fight the likes of some of the names you aforementioned. Teofimo Lopez is one of my favorite fighters. So I want to play, like I said, this clip of Madrimov, and I want to get your thoughts. So hopefully we don't get flagged. He looks a little bit like Golovkin. So he moves a lot. And remember the balance thing I said. Look at that. He's not just going to stand there. He throws his whole body into these shots. And it's that judo experience. He has good balance. He always lands on the – look at that. Very unorthodox as well. So I don't know if Crawford has fought someone like him. In terms of, I'm not saying skill set. Crawford's fought many skilled fighters. I'm talking about someone like this. Someone who's not just going to stand there. He's going to go Southie. He's going to go ortho, and he's going to go after you. Look at that head movement. He's fun to watch, man. So I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. That I did the video talking about it. If you want to get hyped about the fight, watch it. It's in the videos, and I feel Crawford gets rocked. And mate, I think here's my prediction on how that fight's going. I'm not going to say who I think is going to win, but I think Madrimov is going to come out fast. I think he's going to start that fight in the early rounds and try to confuse Crawford. Now that might be his game plan. Have fun trying to confuse a guy like Bud, who has one of the best fight IQs of his generation, but confuse in the sense of, think about when he fought Errol. He trained for Errol for years. He knew what he was getting with EJ. He knew he was getting a southpaw marauder who only fights linearly. Errol either goes forward, which is when he's winning, and sometimes he retreats. But Errol never goes side to side. He never has that head movement. He's never angle changing. He's going straight forward, and he's using his power, and he's using his build to get you out of there. So Bud knew what he was training for. With Madrimov, this guy has power, and he's going to go for the knockout, but he's switching stances, and he's moving a lot, and he's really active. And it's going to be a good challenge for Bud, and I guarantee this is why Bud took this. If Bud Crawford was in the room with me, he'd say the same thing. He would tell the detractors, the ones who say that Madrimov is a bum, he'd say, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. Madrimov is a really high-skilled fighter. He has a lot of talent, and he has a lot of skill, and you can't just judge that record. Now, I think the game plan, back to what I was getting at, is Madrimov is going to come out and try to confuse Bud early and see if he could frazzle him and try to get Bud to make a mistake. Because what those first few rounds are going to be is kind of like chess. We know Crawford against Errol, he came out and stayed southpaw the whole fight. But we've seen him in the past start orthodox, go to southpaw, switch during the fight. We're going to be seeing that with both guys. And it's just going to come down to, I think, the decision-making. And as of now in the career of Crawford, we've really never seen him make a bad decision. He's gotten away with a few times making a wrong decision in terms of his guard and dropping his hands, getting caught, but he really hasn't had to pay yet. And that's going to be an intriguing storyline going into the August fight. And just with how the fighters have been lately with people pulling out, my fingers crossed that I hope this goes down. You know, with Zhu having to pull out and Crowley having to pull out, nothing's, I don't want to take anything for granted. I'm excited about this fight. Now, if Tim Zhu would have stayed on that card, I was flying from Sydney to LA to go to that card. But now without Zhu, I don't know if it's strong enough for me to spend the $5,000 both ways to fly. It's really expensive lately. Let's see what we got. I feel like Crawford gets rocked or dropped by him. I would not be shocked by that. That dude's Crawford's fought 47 were tailor-made for him. Yeah, and I think coming up from Bud going from 35 to 40 to 47, that's, as a fighter, as you're jumping up weight classes, that's when you have to be really wise with your career trajectory in terms of who you fight. It's all, think about guys who take fights on short notice who are fighting up a weight class. It rarely ever works out for them. So when you bring up a good point, when you say tailor-made, as Bud was fighting his opponents, it was especially those fringe fights when he first fought at 40 or when he first fought at 47. Some of those matchups were going to be favorable because that's boxing. You know, when you see a guy like Terrence 10 years ago, they knew what they had with him. They knew the talent. They knew the mindset. I mean, and so part of the game is choosing wisely depending on where they are in their career. Bud's 36 now. He turns 37 in December. He doesn't have a lot of time left, so he's going after it. And if you're a boxing fan, the last few years, especially of an undefeated fighter with a mind like Bud, these are the most exciting fights. And I'm excited about it. Having witnessed Bud's beating Errol Spence in such a flawless manner, it's hard to imagine anybody at 47 poses a huge problem in the ring, not to mention 100%. In that winning streak you're mentioning is that knock. I mean, I think Bud's gotten rid of his last 10. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I think it's been 10 fights in a row Bud's finished. And that just – a lot of our favorite fighters would have more knockouts. This is a fact. A lot of our favorite fighters would have more knockouts if they knew going into the fight that they wouldn't get knocked out. And this is something that I wish everybody understood about fighting. If you've never sparred, if you've never gone to a fight, if you don't train, is that it's not that these guys don't have like Dimitri Bivol, for instance. He just knocked out Malik Zanad on short notice, but the knock on him were his last 9 fights winning by decision. And we know Bivol has power. It's not that they can't knock the fighters out. It's that risk versus reward. It's the Russian roulette. It's where they are in their career. It's what their bank accounts are looking at. Do I want to take the risk to put myself in a position to get cracked. Because at the end of the day, guys, these are all pro athletes. These are all high-level guys who in any given moment could shut your lights out. So maybe except Paulie Malignaggi. I had to take a shot at Paulie. So my point, dude, but my point is, you know, the decision-making of how to fight is part of it too. And I think where I was going with that is with Crawford, I think he's at the stage where he wants knockouts, and that's what he's going for. Don't you know that Bud also trains? Yeah, Bud. Yeah, he grapples. He's a wrestler. And look, I'm not. This is something that if I'm finding areas in Madramov's game to talk about, that doesn't mean I'm talking trash against Bud. Of course, if you're a Bud fan, and if you've been watching my channel for the last year, I've talked about it. I've shown videos before YouTube pulled him down of Crawford grappling. His sons wrestle. Bud in high school was a Nebraska-ranked wrestler. We know that he trains jiu-jitsu. He trains with a lot of UFC guys. There's a UFC lightweight named Drew Dober that you could find footage of Bud training with Dober. So when I'm telling you that Madrimov has good balance and good feet because of his judo skills, Bud has the same thing. I'm just telling you what Madrimov is bringing to the table because not all boxers train in other martial arts. That's what makes Bud different, and that's what makes Madrimov different. So in this way, when you're looking at checks and balances to find pros and cons on what fighter has what going for them into the fight, that will even itself out. And that's all I'm saying. Before I let you guys go, I'm watching this Dallas. Who you guys going for, Dallas or Boston? Dallas is getting their ass kicked right now. 2 minutes left in the first half. I put money on Dallas to win. They're getting their ass beat. But one more thing before I let you guys get out of here. I wanted to ask you something about. Oh, you guys are gonna bash me for bringing this up. We got Subriel Matias fighting Liam Pero. You got Teofimo Lopez fight. These are the 4 champions. Oh, Drake. Fuck. If I knew Drake bet on Dallas, I wouldn't have bet on Dallas. No Drizzy. Rank these guys 1 through 4. So say what you will about Haney, but he's still a champion. These 4 guys have the belts at 140. Matias, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Pitbull. In order, how do you rank these guys? Now, I got to go because I got to go. It's my Friday. I'm done with clients. I'm going to go drink a little bit, get a little bit on the whiskey. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to make a steak. I want you guys to tell me 1 to 4. Who's the best of these 4? If there was a round-robin tournament, they all had to fight each other. Who's coming out on top? Is it Matias? Is it Teo? Is it Dev? Or is it Pitbull? Let me know in the comment section below. Guys, you guys are great. I appreciate you tuning in. This is the first week of me doing these lives. I'm going to be doing them from here on out. Comment. I appreciate the support. And anything that you want to talk about, let's have an open dialogue. Appreciate you guys.